Paulo here, so welcome back to Just Another Dang How-To channel. So this is part 2 of my how to build an iOS app with a Django backend. So first thing we're doing is we're setting up the environment. So I'm setting up Django. On Django I created my first view, and then on this tutorial we're gonna create a model and then also hook up Django to a Postgres database. First, maybe let's start creating a model. So on Django, you need to create the structure that would create the database. So to do that on Django, simply go to your models.py and then you could create your model. So you simply need to create a class. I'm gonna create it, name this class account. We're already importing the models, so I'm gonna use that and use the model, and then I'm gonna give it some attributes. So this class would have the models as name, and I'm just gonna use char field, maybe max length of 100, and then also want to do category, and then say models, char field, let's say max length 100. I'm just gonna copy and paste and then change it as we go. So copy that a couple more times. I think that should be a good day. So this one I'm going to change it to description and change that to 255, and then something called welt type, just 100, and I have something called balance, and then this one, it's gonna be integer field. Yep. And I don't need a max length or any of this, and then I also want to do a created at. So this would be the date, this would be a date time field, and I want it to auto now add, and I'm just gonna say true. Cool. And I also wanted to create a string that would accept a parameter of self and return me maybe the name, and that should be our model. So before I migrate this, I also wanna set up Postgres. So if you don't have Postgres, just make sure it's running. I already have some databases here. I have a default database. This one doesn't have password, so that's pretty good. If you want to put a password in it, that's fine. So to change the database on Django, you go to the settings.py, and then from here you could change the database setup here, but we would need sidecop for this. So let's install another package on Django. So I'm just gonna quickly exit out from this running server, and I'm gonna say pip env install sidecop. If I want to spell sidecop, pg2, and that should update our pip file again, and it should show the packages installed. So we now have sidecop. Next is going back to that settings.py. I'm gonna change this to Postgres SQL. Whoops, Postgres SQL, and using sidecop pg2. And then name of the database, probably let's create a database. So here in Postgres, I want to create another database. So I'm gonna first connect to one database to get to this interactive shell, and I'm gonna create a new database. You just say create database. I'm gonna call this networth app semicolon, and that should create that database. And if I quickly go back here, you'd see that there's new database there. So I'll chuck that in here and say networth app. Cool. And then let's add a few more parameters. So we need the username, password, host, and port. So let's do username. And this would be my username that we have by default, and then password, this is currently blank, so that's fine. Oops, I forgot to end that line there. And then host would be localhost, and then port would be 5432. Cool. That looks good. Then one thing I also want to do here on the installed apps is install the app that we just created. So if I go to apps folder here, you would see that there's a API config here, and then there's the name of API here. So that's the bit that you just want to add on for your installed apps. So you say API, and then say API config. Yep. And I think that should be it. So if I do go back to the shell here and say Python manage by and say make migrations, there's no module name API config, so I think I made a mistake there, and I think I need to call this apps and then API config. Try that again. So as you can see, there's some typos here. So if I save that and try that again, hopefully there's no error. So if there's no error this time, now I could run, say, Python manage by migrate, and this should create all these tables for me. Quickly go to Postgres and open this and say /DT. I should be able to see all the tables created by Python, the default one, and the new API table that we just created. So probably want to register this app as well on the page. So let me run the server to show you what I mean. So if I go to Python manage by, actually let's create a user first. So if I go to Python manage by and say create super user, just gonna call that and give it email, password, and then if I run the server manage by run server, and go back here, let's go back here and go to /admin, and I type in my username, let's say not now. You would have this very cool installation by default by Django, but as you could see, we don't have our model that we just created here. So if you want to have it shown here, you could go to admin on your app, and from here you need to import the model. So first, from this directory model import, I'm gonna say account, and then we're gonna say admin site register. No, that's small letter, register, and then your model, and then quickly hit save. If I go back to my admin, you would see that we now have a UI interface for that one. So that's it for now. Stay tuned for part 3. We're gonna start creating and install some APIs using the Django REST framework. So I hope you like this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Bye for now.